Avi Meyers here, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, on March 19th at 10:30 in the morning on CanTV 19. We had the privilege of getting together with Jim Nally as a co-host and Sonny Hersh, our producer, and did a live show from the CanTV studios. And for those of you who missed it, we'll be showing it to you in two parts over the next 2 weeks. I mean, actually live from the studios of Chicago Access CanTV 19. And yeah, if we actually said a bad word now, which we won't, we're much too under polite and controlled to do that, you would actually hear it. Jim, how you doing?
Good morning, Avi. It's great to be live.
Good morning. Hey, it's my pleasure, too. And you know what? This gives us a chance to tell you all the latest developments for the election. I think we got a rip-roarer coming up. I think it's a very exciting election. And one of the things, in case you don't know, well, first of all, I just want to give full credit. This is a Sonny Hersh production, who's my entire technical crew for the Northtown News Magazine, on every Thursday, 7:30, Friday, 2:30, here on CanTV 19. We want to thank our technical crew, Bill Godomsky and Keith McDonald, who are making us look much better than we really do in real life, making us sound better, too. Thank you so much, guys.
That's what 3 hours of makeup will do, Avi.
That's true. And, of course, hey, Marty, thanks so much for the great haircut. Always got to thank Marty, even if Marty isn't here with us today. And it's Marty Levinson, my barber. Jim Nally, for those of you who don't know, is, in my opinion, and the opinion of many, the leading election lawyer in the state of Illinois. He's handled people like John Edwards when he ran for vice president. He's handled gubernatorial candidates and Senate candidates and all kinds of interesting people. And we have a whole big change in the voting system this year, Jim.
We certainly do. We're going to optical scan voting for most of the polling places on Tuesday. Each polling place will also have a touchscreen voting machine, which was used in the city of Chicago for all the early voting, which ended on Thursday. And people are going to have to get used to a different technical system, the way they vote.
Now, does the city release numbers? Do people know how many people voted early?
I didn't get any final numbers, but as of midweek, a day or two before the final day, between the city and the county, which were both conducting early voting, it was somewhere in the 10 to 20,000 range, which is not a lot, but it's the first time. I think there's a learning curve on any of this. In the states that have had early voting for a number of years now, it can be 10 to 20% of the total vote cast as early vote.
Now, 10 to 20%. So, and how many votes are there usually? How many? Let's say in the days of just putting in your if you're sick,
the absentee voting.
Absentee voting, yeah.
And that's the difference between early voting. Early voting this time was no excuse. You could come in and just say, "I just want to get it out of the way. I just want to get it done." Whereas with absentee voting, you always had to have a legally recognized reason, such as a physical illness or the fact that you'd be out of the county on election day or something like that.
Now, if a person still is sick and infirmed or in a wheelchair or in a hospital, they can still absentee vote?
We still have had absentee voting, yes. So people who are incapacitated who couldn't actually get to the polling place still voted absentee the way they always have, although this time around it would be on an optical scan, not on the punch cards. The punch cards are gone. You're not going to hear about chads, hanging chads, or dimpled chads, or all the other things that became
Chad
famous.
Everett, Chad Mitchell, Chad and Jeremy, all these other chads.
Yeah. Now you're going to hear about marking the oval, and the optic scan is very much going to be like some of the old tests that you might have taken in high school, where there's an oval to give the answer, and you put an X or dark in that to mark your vote.
Now, those of you, we're not just going to be talking to you for the whole hour. We have a really exciting lineup of guests here. I mean, among the people calling in, and I'm not quite sure if we're in sync with the studio. Was anybody on the line right now? Do we have Terry? Okay, well, first of all, it is my pleasure to introduce you, and hang around, guys, because we're going to have gubernatorial candidates. We have the Secretary of State, Jesse White. We have county commissioners. We have judges. But first, we have the person who, in my opinion, if you gave me one person to vote for this election, only gave me one vote, the person I would give my vote for is the present president of the Water Reclamation District, Metropolitan Water Reclamation of District of Greater Chicago. I messed it up again. Terry O'Brien. Terry, how you doing?
Thank you for your support.
Well, first of all, thank you, and say hi to Jim Nally, my co-host over here.
Good morning, Jim. How are you?
Terry, I just want to congratulate you on getting the clean sweep of all the major endorsements, the Tribune, the Sun-Times, the Daily Herald, and most importantly, Jewish Chicago.
Yes, those are very helpful, but the key endorsement is to get the people to come out and vote on Tuesday. That's the important thing.
Well, Terry, obviously, this is an opportunity for you to put your record on the line. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your accomplishments since you've been on the board?
Well, Jim, I bring 27 years to this position as a commissioner at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. I've served on the board for 17 years now. Of the last 17 years, the last 9 years, my colleagues have expressed their confidence in my leadership and have elected me president of this great agency. As you all are well aware of, we deal with wastewater, the collection, treatment, and disposal of wastewater, about 1.5 billion gallons on a daily basis through 7 wastewater treatment plants that we operate throughout the county. And I want your viewers to know that this year, or as in every year, we've always had operated on a balanced budget. This year alone in 2006, your viewers will receive a 4% reduction in their property tax levy. That will basically be seen on the second installment where the broken down portion of the governmental agencies as to who the property taxpayers pay their tax dollars to. That's all in the second installment.
You know, that is an amazing accomplishment in an era when all levels of government are strapped for cash.
Well, that's the key. I mean, there's not much federal dollars coming in. However, we're happy to report that for 2007, the budget, the President of the United States has put us into his budget for $45 million to continue the construction of the reservoir portion of the tunnel and reservoir plan. Just last Thursday, after 30 years, we put the last 8 miles of 109 miles of tunnel online. We actually took water into that tunnel and to the transitional reservoir down in Thornton, Illinois last week when we had the rainstorms on Sunday evening and Monday morning. So that's saving those residents quite a bit of damage from flooded basements and businesses down in that particular region.
You know, we were very fortunate. You took both Jim and I and Sonny Hersh down there not that long ago to see what goes down there, and it's just amazing. You know, the construction involved. There's been 108 miles of tunnel that you've built compared to the 100 miles in the for the English Channel. They spent $15 billion, and you've spent $3 billion.
Once it's all said and done with the reservoirs coming online, the total price tag will be $3 billion. $3 billion. But, you know, I mean, we got to look at the fact that it's taken us time to get the monies out of Washington, and that's delayed the project. And everybody knows that when things get delayed, you know, your costs go up. So had the money come in all at once, the original projection of about $2 billion would have been close to what we would have spent.
That's pretty amazing. It really is. Plus, in this current property tax bill, you were the only county agency. You were down 1.1% in your tax levy, and the only county agency to do so.
Well, we went down 1.1% on the tax levy, and then just a couple of weeks ago, we abated another $38 million. So that brought it up to 4% this year. And I think looking at not only the county but possibly the state, we might be the only agency that's done that.
Now, one of the things people don't realize is a big part of your job, too, is going down to Washington and lobbying these people. I mean, I remember reading that we were going to get absolutely no money this year.
That's correct, Dob. That's correct, Dobby. After last year around this time, the President came out with his budget, and there was $0 appropriated for this particular project. Myself and our General Superintendent, Jack Farnan, went out to Washington and lobbied the 11 congressional members of the House of Representatives who this project impacts, as well as the Speaker of the House, Denny Hastert, and our 2 U.S. Senators to try to secure some dollars so that we could at least stay on construction schedule with the building of this particular project. Because every year we delay it, we're losing $120 million in benefits due to damages from flooded basements and businesses.
Which is pretty impressive. Now, how much dollars did you get from the federal government this year?
For the federal government for this year, we ended up going from $0 to $27.5 million.
Now, if you had 18 and a half to that 27 and a half, then you get ballot number 46. And ballot number 46 is exactly the number I want everybody to punch early and often come Election Day. And that's to vote for the President of the Water Reclamation District, the Commissioner of the Water. You're running for Commissioner here. The President's actually elected by his fellow board members out of respect, Terry O'Brien.
Thank you, Avi. I appreciate it. Jim, thank you.
And Terry, I just want to say, you know, besides the engineering feats of the Water District, clearly the environmental impact of what the Water District is able to do in terms of giving us clean water and processing sewage and wastewater, gives you a very strong background as an environmentalist.
Well, it just, I mean, I think you see all the development now that's going along the inland waterway system throughout the county. The people are calling the inland waterway system our second lakefront, just because of the improvement of the water quality in the inland waterway system.
No question about it. We want to thank you for the great job. We'd like to talk to you longer, but we have a very heavy schedule here. Punch 40, ballot number 46, mark it, optical scan it, speak it, breathe it, live it, vote it. Terry O'Brien, the Water Reclamation District Commissioner, we're looking forward to voting for you come Election Day on Tuesday.
Thank you, Howie. Thank you, Jim, and thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you. And now we're going to go right next to our next caller. We're fortunate to have the Democratic candidate for governor of the state of Illinois, Edwin Eisendrath, on the line. How are you today?
I'm terrific. Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for calling. You graced our show earlier in the year. Tell us why it's important to vote for you for governor this coming Tuesday.
Right now, I'm calling you from Rockford. I've been on a statewide tour. I'm having a little feedback. Can I call you or you call me back? That's very hard to hear.
Okay, Sonny, take the information down from Mr. Eisendrath and call him back, or we'll call. Talk to Sonny. Can you talk to him? We're getting feedback. So, Jim, let's talk a little bit about the governor's race, since we know he's going to be calling back in a second. I know from my standpoint that Blagojevich has actually disappointed me over the course of the last 3 years. He's had to run into a lot. He's getting very low poll numbers. He has disappointed a number of his supporters in terms of the people that basically fed him in the first place and helped get him elected are people that he hasn't necessarily followed through on.
Yeah, and well, what's interesting is you're certainly seeing interest in the race, particularly I think what's as interesting as anything on the Republican side as well, which in past years the Republican situation has always been they've usually gotten behind one candidate early on and not had a contested primary, and that primary is the most contested this time around.
I think we have Edwin Eisendrath back on the line. Let's switch back over.
Hello there.
Hi. I hope the feedback's better.
Much better.
Excellent. So you were telling us that you were in Rockford and you're on a statewide tour right now?
Right. We've been all over the state, and this time I brought my family with me. We've been touring and reminding people how important this election is and that there's a very important choice that everyone gets to make.
Yeah. And now, I just want to let the viewers at home know that basically even though the pictures aren't quite showing it, we have Edwin Eisendrath live on the line right now. This is a live show. Now, I think it's a very important choice. And what is it that caused you to run for governor in the first place?
I think a serious lack of leadership in the governor's office on issues that Democrats care about and care about passionately. Education. Remember, we're last in the nation in school funding, and our governor likes to brag about what he's done about schools. Every time he does, I invite him to come to a school and see what the underfunding has done. He's refused. Every time he opens up a new program, even something that sounds as nice as, universal kindergarten for 3-year-olds, what he's doing is taking the money out of K through 12, and an effect of that is to raise everyone's property taxes because that's where the money comes to make up for it. So education is one of those issues. Our economy is the other one. Even people who are well employed in Illinois know how tough it's been for everyone else who isn't. The fact that our economy is growing only 35th among all 50 states, we're losing investment opportunities in Illinois. We're making it very tough on small businesses. That's not how you grow an economy to pay for these programs. And let's face it, we have a serious ethics problem in the governor's office. He's the only state office holder still to think it's just fine to take as much money as he can from state contractors. Nobody else believes that's right.
Well, some people are saying that we have the finest governor money can buy.
Well, I've heard that. But, just recently, we had this whole issue with his anti-discrimination commission. Where was the leadership there? It's been a month, maybe 5 weeks now since this has blown up, and he keeps saying, stay tuned, I'll do something. It's not that hard. Go to the governor's mansion, bring the leadership together, come up with a new charter, and move forward. But his divisive leadership is causing problems instead of bringing people together. We can change this. And one more thing Democrats need to know. He can't win in November. He's damaged. Overweiss gave an interview just the other day, and he said, Rod Blagojevich is a one-term governor. Any of us Republicans can beat him. My nightmare when I go to bed is that Eisendrath wins this primary.
Now, yeah. I'd like to ask you a question on pensions. Obviously, there are short-term issues here now and just funding current programs, but there's a great concern that's been growing ever since the last budget was passed, that there's going to be problems down the road with state pensions. Can you address that for us?
Well, there aren't problems down the road. There are problems now. Illinois has the highest unfunded pension liabilities in the nation. Now, that predates our governor, but he made it worse by diverting $2.3 billion that was supposed to go into the pensions, and he diverted it for his election year budget, which was really a scandalous thing to do. We need to fill up that unfunded liability. It's a constitutional obligation, and it's $40 billion. So it's very, very difficult for the people of Illinois. The result is going to be a pension that's, the benefit package is going to be somewhat less for future retirees. And that's unfortunate because it's not very wealthy benefit now, but there'll be something less for future retirees, and then we'll be able to dedicate perhaps some of the income tax stream in order to fill up what's left so that we can afford to pay our retirees.
Now, first of all, we want to thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule and calling. What is your ballot number this Tuesday?
Well, it's not the same all over the state. It's actually different in some other counties. But my punch number up in Cook County is 3, but really they're just two names. It's Rod Blagojevich and Edwin Eisendrath.
And by the way, there's only one good name in there, and that's Edwin Eisendrath.
Thank you very much.
I think it's a very clear choice. And by the way, I would like to point out, you talked about the Governor's Hate Crime Commission. Even in the words of Mary Mitchell on Chicago Week in Review this weekend, she basically pointed out how it was Governor Blagojevich that caused the divisiveness that didn't have to be.
Oh, I agree with that.
And we want to thank you very much. We want to wish you good luck in the campaign, and hope all our viewers and listeners will be voting for you come Election Day.
Thank you, Avi, very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That was Edwin Eisendrath, Democratic candidate for governor. And, boy, this is going one after the other. Everybody's early. We're fortunate to have, actually, another candidate, endorsed by Jewish Chicago. For those of you who haven't seen Jewish Chicago yet, it's available free all over the place. And, by the way, if you don't want to read it, a 3-pound mackerel will do very nicely. And if you take a look, this handsome young devil in the lower right-hand corner of Jewish Chicago, you guys can be showing this now, is Tom Dart. And you can read about him, and you can read about Edwin Eisendrath and Judy Bart-Topinka, Terry O'Brien, Rich Reeder, who's running against Lou Lang, and, all in the issue. But it is my pleasure to have the man who right now is the assistant sheriff of Cook County, a former state representative, a former state senator, a former state's attorney, someone with very unique qualifications to be the sheriff. And I'm joined here by my co-host, Jim Nally. We're talking about, not Jim Nally, you've already met him, but Tom Dart. Tom, thank you so much for calling in.
Oh, Avi, thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it.
First of all, my pleasure. And say hi to Jim Nally here.
Hey, Jim, how's everything?
Good morning, Tom.
Jim, what's your prediction on turnout?
Turnout's going to be low.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
I think everybody's been predicting that, and even with some of the excitement that's been generated here in the last few days, I still would be surprised if it exceeded 40%.
I agree with you. That's why, Avi, the outreach that we've been doing with your show and with some of the other things with the newspaper are so important because it's going to be a low turnout. So the educated voters, people listen to your show and read the paper are the ones that are going to make have a lot of influence in this election.
Well, I sure hope so, because frankly, I hope that everybody that wants to vote my way and vote for you and some of the other candidates we've been talking about will be out there at the polls, and we have a chance to over-represent ourselves and get really good people in government this time, and I think you represent one of those good people.
Oh, thank you. I tell you, we've been working very, very hard, and it's been a long campaign that I can't help but tell you I am excited about coming to a conclusion now. My wife and 3 children who are under the age of 4 are excited to see their dad again.
It's got to be tough on you.
It's been very difficult because in the past elections, I've only been married 5 years now, and so my past elections, by and large, virtually all of them were ones where I was single at the time. Now, having the children, it's been a real tough experience. My wife's been phenomenal, and she's just done an amazing job without me being around very much, but it's been very tough being away from the kids.
Now, Tom, I wanted to bring out the fact that you did serve in the state legislature with great distinction, and I'm wondering what experiences you had there and what background you bring from that that you see as a positive in terms of serving as sheriff in Cook County.
Well, Jim, it was actually sort of multifaceted because I had the benefit of being chairman of the Judiciary Committee for years, where I either authored or came through my committee a lot of the major crime laws that were on the books. And so actually authoring the crime laws, I did tons of those. But probably more pertinent was for 6 years I was chairman of our prison committee down Springfield, and that was hard on the heels of the Larry Hoover debacle, where he was in downstate Illinois prison, where he had more luxuries in the prison than he did out of the prison and pretty much had every key to the place. And it was also the time Richard Speck rose his ugly head again, where he was filming pornographic movies inside the prison with state-funded prison video equipment. And so our committee was formed to really deal with the prison, the whole prison system, which was really out of control. These issues sort of brought it more to light, but there had been problems for years, and we were having a difficult time getting things done there. And I chaired the committee with another individual, and we made some major changes there in how we operate our prison system. So even though prisons and jails are very different in a lot of respects, there's a lot of similarities in there. And so 6 years of really chairing the prison committee gave me a lot of insight on that. And as I say, you combine it with all the criminal law measures that I worked on, and then my time as a state's attorney, where I was deeply involved with prosecuting cases, but also conducting investigations in the south suburbs. It's a pretty full plate of experience.
Well, you sound like you're really ready to hit the ground running.
I think so, Jim. I mean, it's one of those things where I feel, seeing all those things, and then the last 3 years being chief of staff of the sheriff's office, there is not going to be any learning curve here. I'm going to be doing things with the minute I in the office and then on. So there isn't going to have to be any type of period of time we're going to have to wait. There's going to be some analysis I'm going to do that I think is just done whenever anybody new comes in. But by and large, I have a lot of ideas already on some things that I want to move that Mike Sheehan's been working on. I want to try to keep pushing those along. And then there's some other things that are ideas more unique to myself that I want to push.
One of the things I'm curious about, one of the things you've mentioned is there's, of course, a serious shortage of funds available to the sheriff in terms of doing things like getting enough prison guards to make things run right. Is there anything specific you have in mind now to help that situation?
Well, Avi, it's one of those beautiful situations where I could lie to everybody and tell them because of my great oratorical skills and my wisdom, I'm going to be able to get all the money. But thanks to a federal judge who has finally lost patience with the county board, the county board really is going to have no opportunity to not give us the correctional officers we need. He's made it crystal clear that if we do not get the additional 750 to 800 correctional officers that the county board's their own study showed was needed, if we don't get those, he's going to hold people in contempt of court. So I think that is going to happen of its own, but there's going to be some serious funding issues I know that are going to occur because there's going to be some like everywhere else, you got to tighten your belt, and we're going to need to do some things as well to appease the county board.
I would imagine, again, Tom, with your legislative background and working on state budgets for all those years, that probably gives you some pretty good insights on the budgeting process for the Executive Office of Sheriff.
It does, Jim, because as you said, we dealt with billions of dollars down in Springfield on a regular basis, and I was on the Appropriation Committee for a while down there as well, and you combine that with just knowing the inner workings of the office, it's something where, I have a pretty good firm handle on it. But then the other part of it, Jim, too, is that so much of your ability to work with a legislative body is your personal relationships. And I know a lot of the members of the county board who are there right now. I know the legislative process very well. So I think I'll be able to work very well with all the members and really to address all their interests and concerns they have.
I think that sounds terrific. So you've got 2 days left to wrap up the campaign. Where do you go from here? What are you going to be doing the next couple of days?
Well, I've got a full plate today. I just had a church I was at this morning, the Apostolic Church of God. It was just fantastic. What a beautiful, beautiful service and place. I just was up at the 47th Ward for a precinct captain meeting, and now I'm heading off to another church. I've got 2 more churches I was going to hit today and drop in, and then I have later tonight I have the Kesha Society has their annual fundraiser at the Hilton tonight that I'm going to be going with Senator Silverstein to. So I've got a pretty busy agenda for today. Tomorrow, thankfully, is not as busy because I think everyone's going to be gearing up for Election Day.
Well, we want to wish you a lot of luck. We want to remind everybody to push ballot. It's ballot 31.
Yeah, 31.
To vote. And Tom Dart, Democratic candidate for Cook County Sheriff, somebody that I myself am very personally impressed with, somebody that I've definitely endorsed in Jewish Chicago, somebody I know that Jim Nally is also a big fan of. And we hope we'll vote for him 2 days from now, come Election Day.
Avi, thank you, and Jim, thank you both so much for your time on the show today.
Well, Tom, I want to tell you, too, you've got the greatest indicator of good luck coming on Tuesday because you've got the coveted whole back page of Jewish Chicago.
All right.
And I've yet to know anybody who's had that.
I copy that to my mom.
I've yet to know anybody who's had that position who's not been successful. So I know you're going to be campaigning hard the next couple of days, but the end is in sight here, and it looks like a successful resolution for you.
I told Brian where you can get it near your headquarters.
Oh, fantastic.
And I want to thank Brian Town, too. He's been terrific.
Oh, great. Avi, he is fantastic. He really is.
Well, thank you very much, Tom. And we want to thank you so much for calling in. We want to wish you a lot of luck this Election Day. Newspaper's ready to show. Show the newspaper, guys. Okay, thanks. Now, Jim, this has been a rip-roaring half hour so far. We've talked to Terry O'Brien, the Water Reclamation District President, Edwin Eisendrath, together with Tom Dart. I want to ask the guys in the control room if when you show the pictures of the candidates, you can put the live thing there so the people at home can know that this is actually going on live. I mean, this is actually live right now from CAN TV. So any dumb blunders I make or mess-ups are happening. And we don't have time to breathe. We have one heavyweight after another. And I don't mean heavy because, frankly, he does way too much tumbling to be overweight. But it is a pleasure to have, even though he's running unopposed in this election, somebody who's definitely endorsed by Jewish Chicago, early and often, the Secretary of State of the state of Illinois, not Cook County, the Honorable Jesse White. How are you today?
Avi, glad to be on board, and thank you, sir. And I'm really honored to be the recipient of the Jewish Chicago magazine endorsement.
It is our pleasure to be able to have a state official of such note that we're able to endorse. I also want you to say hi to my co-host, Jim Nally.
Jim, how you doing?
Good to talk to you this morning.
Jim, I'm a good landsman.
Very good. Now, you're running unopposed, which I think is a really good thing, and if the Republicans are smart, they're not going to run anybody against you either. But we know that's going to happen. What do you do when you're unopposed like this? Are there things you do different? Do you still go ahead and campaign?
I still campaign on a regular basis. Matter of fact, I campaign every day, 7 days a week, 24 hours. There's a young lady by the name of Joanne Gilmette, and your Jewish Chicago magazine did a nice article on her. They supported her tremendously. And she is a part of my organization. I happen to be the ward committeeman of the 27th Ward. And for your listening audience, a ward committeeman is a non-salaried elected position, and you the political voice of that particular ward. And Walter Burnett is the alderman, and I serve as the ward committeeman. And I also serve as your Secretary of State, and that is a salaried position. We have a young lady by the name of Joanne Gilmette who's a part of our organization. She's qualified to practice law in 4 states. It's rare because usually a person may have trouble just practicing law in 1 state. She's one of the best and the brightest, one of the sharpest knives in the drawer, a lady with loads of intelligence and commitment to duty. And one of the things that she said, Avi, that I found to be unique, and she said that once I become a judge, I'm going to go out into the community and be proactive and let the people know about the laws that are before them so that before they come before me as a judge, they won't say, Your Honor, I didn't know. And I served in Springfield as a lawmaker for 16 years, and many times we'd pass laws down there, and the people who didn't read the newspapers or didn't watch television were unaware of the laws that were on the books. And so I just think that when you are going to let the people know early on what the laws are, I think it's a win-win situation for all of us.
Next week, part 2.